Good morning. Hello, my name is Robert Schmid, Deloitte Digital's Chief IoT Technologist, also known as Mr. IoT. This week on Coffee with Mr. IoT, my co-host Rachel and I are talking with Todd Paris. And we're going to talk about beacons, retail, and so forth. Todd is one of our managing directors at Deloitte. Welcome, Todd. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you, sir. I appreciate the invite here.
What's that?
Appreciate the invite. Sorry, I was having a bit of an audio problem, but I am now back.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to have you. We're just going to have to listen very carefully to you, and we're going to love your content. Todd, you are fairly new to Deloitte, but you've been an IoT guy for quite a while. And one of the things that you are really famous for is beacons. Why don't you give us a little bit of intro about yourself? And then why don't you tell us about beacons and why beacons? I thought beacons were out.
No, beacons are everything. So if I look at background, so the last 23 years in and around tech in different types of ways. 10 years in consulting, 10 years at Microsoft running as a product manager running platform team related to digital marketing. So all focus very much on data monetization and has been all about beacons. So beacons started to take off in 2012, 2013, and sort of started to arc up now. So the last 3 or 4 years, all about beacons.
Todd, I have to admit I'm having a really difficult time hearing you. I only heard 1 out of every 3 or 4 words. Rachel, are you hearing Todd fine? Okay, Rachel is back now. Rachel, I had a hard time hearing Todd. Were you able to hear Todd?
Let's try again. I got to join back in because what I did threw me out. So sound out. So Todd, give us a go.
Okay, I'll give a quick background again. 23 years tech, 10 years consulting. For the last 3 or 4 beacons.
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit, but we'll make do. We'll translate as we go, and we'll fill in with whatever we think is the best answer. If not, we'll make up stuff. We're good at that, right, Robert?
Yes, I always get thrown with the improvising, but I think it's a good exercise. I should go more to improvising class here. Rachel, what did you hear Todd say?
Technology, been in the business a while. I think he's going to be a great expert for our topic today. And we'll just give him some fake credentials as we go. So should we throw some PhDs in there and some other accolades? Award-winning tech.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a PhD in beaconitis. And he has a master's of retail, so he shops a lot. Making this really up, guys. This is a whole different version of Coffee with Mr. IoT today. So I'll try it again.
That's okay. Beacons are different, so this is good. This is good.
Good, and we can hear you now too. And we're hearing beacons are good. So Todd, why are beacons good? Let's kick this off. Why is this going to be such a chat for everyone?
Where to begin? Where to begin? Beacons have so many different use cases and so much value to a company, either on the revenue generating side, new revenue streams, new engagement with consumers, or on the operational side, fits nicely into IoT and driving down costs, driving up cross-selling, upselling. So it's so good, size of the equation, the engagement piece and the cost piece.
So I think, Robert, we had a retail conversation, one of our first, right? Like one of our first Coffee with Mr. IoT, and we talked about, the shoes. It was the shoes episode. So Todd, we may embarrass you with shoes later, but we had Tracy Camby on, and she mentioned that it was a slow adoption for using sensors within the retail community, like beacons, because there was this fear of being kind of Big Brother-esque, like we're watching you and we know what you're doing, and then how to balance that with just like what you mentioned, the upsell and the opportunities and probably the added thing. And Robert, if I remember correctly, you wanted this because you wanted someone to give you the shoes at the door. You didn't have to shop. It was all set to go. And you wanted everything kind of to enhance or expedite your experience. So now fast forward, we're a few months later, the world's changed. IoT's picking up. Todd, what's the latest? What's the trend with these beacons? Is this becoming more of a normal thing, and are consumers more accepting of it? Sorry, long-winded question.
No, that's a good question. So privacy and data tracking and tracking always come up in the conversation. So anytime I'm talking to a client or to a potential client, it's acknowledging one, yes, there's a privacy and there is tracking, but there are many layers in which the consumer opts in. So there's no secret Big Brother. It's more of it's very much an opt-in model. And once opted in, then it's important to understand the value exchange. So I always give this example. If I'm sitting at dinner and I see a sign on the wall that says, if I download this app, I'll get my $1,000 dinner for free. I immediately grab my phone and download that app. So that's enough value to make me do that. So that take it back to retail or any other sector. It's about that value exchange. If you just demand from your users, I want your data, but I'm going to give you nothing back, you're going to run into a problem. You're going to start finding yourself having that tracking conversation. So it's a fair point, but I think it's about the value capture.
You're breaking up a little bit, Todd, but I think I heard you say that it's really about offering value during that opt-in phase to make sure that you're offering someone for something. So you can't just say, come join me, we're going to watch you. You have to give them something in exchange for the ability to be able to track their patterns and their buying and their
yeah, well said.
Their behaviors.
Yep, perfect. Absolutely. And one of the points you made with Tracy, which she had commented on, and it is true that there was a slower uptick to beacons. If you look back at the market of beacons, 2013 we had the bit of the awareness coming out, the standards were coming out. In 2013, 14, a little bit of piloting, but all the startups were trying to figure out what the business model looked like. And so retailers were struggling with how do I engage with beacons as well. Then 2014, pilots started to happen, MVPs started to become more mature, so products, the business models, a bit more mature. And then the pilots starting to now fall into rollouts and enterprise agreements. So now we're seeing that slightly more mature uptick in these.
So I just spent a day with one of our friendliest airlines, and we talked about beacons at the airport. And so you talk about pilots, you talk about where it all happens. I've seen it also at airports. They talked about EasyJet at Gatwick that guides you around. What's your favorite example, Todd, of beacons today being used in a great way that helps you or me or Rachel? Well, I should say Rachel, you or me, actually. That'd be the right sequence.
Yeah, I'm the biggest shopper of the group for sure.
So I think of the use cases, I think of it, they're interesting in two different ways. On the engagement side, it is just that. It's getting used to, the consumers used to the beacons themselves. So not bombarding them with all these miscellaneous ads and pieces of content. It is more about a very tailored welcome and connection to the products that they like. And there are retailers, big box retailers, starting to do this very well. So they're combining online data, their phone data, and their physical presence, and creating a simple but personalized welcome into and shopping experience.
Who, Todd? Give me names. Don't just general. I'd like to have a name.
Gosh, I have to go now. The one I'm thinking about as I'm talking is Nordstrom.
Ooh,
Nordstrom here in, yeah.
I love Nordstrom.
Absolutely. So Nordstrom is a good example of, it's a good retail experience. They have a great service kind of record. And so beacons for them is about enhancing that shopping experience and having a smart shopping experience. So when you approach the store, they know who you are and who you're connected to in the back end from a sales perspective. So bringing the two together quickly and effectively, you can have a way better personalized shopping experience.
So the beacon is simply picking up that I am Rachel. Therefore, then the sales representative can come and say, oh, hey, I know that Susie's worked with you in the past. I know that you generally wear a size X and that you trend towards this brand. Can I show you what we have new in store? Is that kind of how that?
Absolutely. Perfect example. And a couple times, I always use the example of the yellow shoe, I call it. If I'm online looking at yellow shoes, but my profile, say online, my profile says I like red shoes. When I walk into the store, all of what you described can happen. But as I walk into the store, the beacon can see me going left. It can see me pause for 5 seconds. Then it can see me go straight. And then it sees me pause for 5 minutes. And at 5 minutes, it can trigger an event. And if you're standing at front of that beacon for 5 minutes, there's a yellow shoe, because we put metadata around that beacon. So we know you're staring likely at a yellow shoe. So that will then fire off a notification to the sales team that says, hey, send a rep who can really talk eloquently about the yellow shoe. Despite the fact online you like blue or other colors. So it creates a very real-time personalized experience.
And then is there anything like that in the retail business where they're giving incentives like at store? I think we had heard, Robert, in one of the retail conversations, maybe it was Target was looking at it, to do end cap focusing. So if you stare at the end cap similarly, Todd, and if you stare for enough time, they'll incentivize you with a coupon or promotion or some sort of deal to go along with it.
Yeah, that actually is probably the starting point that everyone thinks about beacons, couponing and incentivizing. Absolutely. So that's done. It does work. In fact, one of the installations and clients we had was in Singapore. This is my prior life. And in Singapore, we had a hypermarket food store, and we used the end caps exactly as you described it. And we engaged with Nestle. So if you stood in front of a Kit Kat for X period of time, then you would get a Kit Kat ad fired to you. And then the magic was we would see that was an impression that the user had. We'd then track them all the way through the point of sale, and we'd see if they actually bought something, bought a Kit Kat. In that case, you can attribute that customer journey, and you know that ad is effective.
So Todd, just in case you're joining us right now, you are watching Coffee with Mr. IoT. Today, Rachel and I are talking to Todd Paris, one of our managing directors in the IoT practice, and we're talking about retail beacons and so forth. Todd, I gotta come back to the shoe thing. We've done this before. We haven't done it in a while. What shoes are you wearing right now?
I'm not wearing any shoes.
You weren't wearing any shoes. Well, Rachel, I showed my Olo High shoes off, which I love. What shoes are you wearing? Oh, look at you. Very, very cool. Well, we have this thing, Todd, almost a tradition we dropped for a while where we would talk about shoes and so forth. But really, I have a question for you because you talked about, Rachel talked about incentivizing people. And I have to tell you, there's something about if all my interactions on the phone are about me buying more, I sort of get turned off by that. I had a VP at Activision who continuously told me best CRM is done when 9 out of 10 interactions are about helping them and only 1 is about upselling. What are the other ideas in retail that actually help rather than upselling? I don't know. I find that upselling sort of like boring. And I'm going to bring this back to the original example, the Home Depot thing where it walks me around and has nothing to do with sales.
Yep, absolutely. So I couldn't agree more. So in terms of just selling and giving an ad to upsell or cross-sell, most platforms allow you to throttle that now. So if you're in the store for 5 minutes, I'm only going to ever give you a single ad. Or if you're in the store for 10 minutes, maybe I'll do 2, maybe I still only do 1. So most beacon platforms today, this is the maturity they're getting to, can throttle how many advertising related pieces of content you get. So that's one thing to help manage that a little bit. But you're absolutely right. So when I talk about ads and upselling and cross-selling, it's content, it's information, and ideally it's personalized. But by just not being a seller piece of content or a selling piece of content, you can help educate a lot of product information. It may be a brand information you want to share. A good example is this. In Vans, when you walk into Vans department or Vans retail stores, there's videos, kids skateboarding, having a good time. And if you're with your family and your kid has a smartphone signed into the app, as they approach the video, we can change the video to, if they have something on YouTube, we'll put their video up on YouTube. Now they're watching themselves enjoy skateboarding, they have Vans on, maybe not. That's the kind of interaction that gets people excited. And then yes, maybe you sneak in an ad towards the end of the experience.
So the other thing that we've noticed in talking through a lot of these scenarios is there's a tremendous amount of data being collected. So you talk about data driving the real-time interaction, but then how much of that data, and then I'm sure using machine learning and some of the more advanced analytics and then moving even into like artificial intelligence, how much of that data is being used forward in the process? And are we seeing any retailers do interesting things to say, going back to your yellow shoe comment? if I put this here and I know this person's disposition, I can then target this going forward. I know that, you know, my customer segments are changing. I can drive retail in a whole new way, maybe even like engaging outside of the traditional brick and mortar. What kind of cool things are you seeing from the data itself?
Yeah, that's the art of beacons and where we are today in maturity. Right now, networks are being deployed. You deploy a beacon, you connect them, you have a network. As you get enough networks in place, and as you have apps that have the functionality and the SDKs in them, that's the ecosystem that comes together to create an immense amount of data. So where we are in the art today is beacons are being deployed, networks are starting to get towards critical mass to where the data becomes interesting. So we're just now at that point where the data is there, and now we need to start making sense of it. And I know lots of different companies are using a lot of cloud services as basic ways to get into running the analytics, using folks like Tableau for data display, so you can do some pretty cool things around how you represent the data. And using Google Cloud, Azure, and others around their machine learning and their AI basic services. But we're just at that point now where it's going to become interesting.
Okay, so if I were to recap that, we've got the technology and the integrations and the infrastructure set, but then taking that to the next level is something we need to come back and check back in the retail space another 6 months. Robert will add it to our future show forecast and say how is it being done now based on kind of letting that maturity go forward.
Yeah, that's well said. It is 6 months, 12 months. If you look at the time when that data becomes big, then you start monetizing that data. Gartner and others, and I believe this happened in the industry. It's late 2017 where the data is so voluminous that we can actually start to monetize it really well programmatically in the advertising. So yes.
So Todd, if I listen to this, I hear lots of data needs to be looked at, artificial intelligence, beacons need to be installed. That all sounds really complicated and hard, and we always talk about the theme I often talk about is think big, start small, scale fast. How can someone that hasn't started in this, or someone that's had tried but it didn't work, start small in a way that returns value quickly? And let me add a subcontext to the starting small. I've seen some amazing stuff done with cameras that you can do learning from that are all installed. So it might actually be a brownfield rather than starting from scratch. Can you talk about good examples of starting small? How can someone take this and turn this around in weeks rather than months?
That's the million-dollar question. So now I'm going to go back to my previous life where I was in industry with the IoT company. So we would sell and we would talk to our clients that, hey, this is the ultimate. Beacons are the ultimate and start small. I literally, and these are real numbers, is if given a small retail store, or maybe there's 5 stores in total, if I spend 2 hours in your store, I can deploy beacons, a handful of beacons, and in 4 hours, I could even do 200-300 beacons. Your network is deployed in a couple hours. If you're only looking to, and I recommend everybody starts by collecting data and then understand what you have in hand and then what you can do with the data, you can integrate an SDK in a day, handful of hours.
What's SDK, Todd?
The software development kit. It's the code that basically wakes up the phone and allows it to connect to the beacons themselves.
Okay.
So you've got the ecosystem set up in a handful of hours, and I do mean a handful of hours, and now you can start to passively collect data. And then you can take the data, you can ideate and run a workshop, and you can discover all kinds of cool things you can do with that data, apply some creativity, then the value starts. So this is the ultimate to me, and start small. Give me a couple hours, a healthy app, and we can get it up and running.
So if I hear you correctly, I'm retailer Bob. I'm behind the times. I'm just getting into e-commerce. Now you're telling me I got to go to this crazy IoT world. Beacons. I don't even know what a beacon is. I think it's I'm thinking old beacons on the Star Trek. But now it's real. This is affordable. We learned that in our old show. It's a very affordable technology now. They're getting down to cents instead of dollars. Now you're telling me we can set up a proof of concept within a few hours, and then using a workshop, we can ideate and figure out what our value is and really drive that into more full-blown implementation and really making sure that we have that value capture. Is that something we do quite often, I'm guessing?
This is where I'm excited to come into Deloitte and join. So I've been in the world of startups, which you always have a scaling problem, you always have a resource problem. Here, with exactly as you just set the table, Now with Deloitte's skill sets, networks, and volume that they can scale really easily with people, now it's set to start to take off. So that actually is my charter, I guess, along with the IoT team here in the US and elsewhere, to start to drive. The table is set, so now is a good time for us to grow.
Wow. So if I were just to recap, everyone's got a chance. Get in, start small. Roberts, I think, says it every show. I think historically, but we found a chance to say it every time because it's so accurate in this world. Find your true value, get your return, and then grow from there and scale. That's awesome.
So Todd,
yeah,
you've been a great sport. You've let us ask you a whole bunch of questions. What didn't we ask you? We're coming to the end here. What didn't we ask you that you would have liked us to ask you? What did we miss? Give us anything different, or ask a question if you'd like. So kind of like last words from Todd Paris.
Yeah, sure. The one thing we did talk about is the monetization piece. And that is something I firmly, really believe in. When we talk about better selling, cross-sell, upsell, they understand that. They understand the cost savings on the operational side. But the way that the advertising in the digital world is heading, I think we will double click. Programmatic advertising is maturing nicely. You can run full brand campaigns in the programmatic world. When you connect beacons and that data to the programmatic world, it opens up an entirely new way to monetize. So there's this new revenue stream literally floating around in physical locations that we can help clients and others get a piece of. It's the big monetization.
So Todd, thank you. It was a little hard to hear you, but what I heard you talk about was monetization for those beacons. And the thing that stuck with me was this idea that there is actually new revenue models to be had in addition to the old ones, which I really like. It's something actually we find quite often when we talk to people in the IoT world. The fact that you have sensors that tell you data that you didn't have before actually gives you an opportunity to do actually whole new things. So Todd, thank you for that. Thank you for joining the call today. It was great talking to you about beacons and what goes on. Rachel, any closing thoughts?
No, I just always want to go shopping after these. I'm heading to Nordstrom, my favorite store anyway.
Well, I'm going to go to that video thing you talked about, the YouTube wall. I'm going to be really curious what the videos show up there. I hope they're not going to show me coffee with Mr. IoT, because that wouldn't really fit into the Vans store. But with that, I just want to say thank you. The coffee break is coming to an end. Thank you, Todd, for a great conversation. And please join Rachel, Momin, and myself again next Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Oh, actually, no, next Friday's Thanksgiving. We are taking
enjoy Turkey Day, Robert.
What's that?
Enjoy it.
Yeah, next Friday we're off, but the following week we're back on 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern for another coffee with Mr. IoT. And if you missed any part of today's conversation, or you want to slow down Todd's talk because it was hard to hear, watch all episodes on my YouTube channel. And with that, I want to say thank you, everyone. And it was great seeing you. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. See you.